Morning. There you go. All right. No, people are keep coming. Okay. So chunking, this word will be our main word today, probably, because a lot is related. So yes, we're gonna talk about in the consecutive techniques. We're gonna start from chunking. How does it exactly work? So consecutive interpretation, as everyone know now, it's going on the stages. So the person speaks in English, let's say, they finish, they pause, you provide interpretation, and then the person speaking in the mother tongue, they speak, pause, then you translate to English, for example, right? Um, but what if they're gonna keep talking more, or they're gonna keep more complex words, and your memory will not always catch up after them? So that's where the chunking is coming. So um, if it's like an advanced stage of that consecutive interpretation, and like your memory doesn't work that well anymore, let's say maybe after an hour, after 2 hours, that's where you're trying to kind of like catch up the most important parts of that. So we go in for like the arguments, like the logic of the sentence. Um, we are going for the structure, and basically chunking is like organizing. Imagine like you have the whole messy room, and now you have to clean that room, and you have to put all the things in your room where they actually when you need them to have like an easy access to, right? So you don't want to rely or on your memory all the time and like try to memorize sentence by sentence that is spoken in both languages. You want to break the speech uh, into those little chunks. So of the it's kind of like a little units, and then you're catching up the meanings, and it kind of also reflect what the person want to say. So that's where we have the meaning as well about that, like we mentioned yesterday. So the meaning, the tone, um, and that's where we gonna start going from there. So each chunk is kind of like a mini paragraph. So that's where eventually we also gonna talk about this today. You also gonna need taking notes, right? So for now, in your head, you can start grouping the different sentences, and your brain gonna work a little bit different because you're gonna keep those little chunks in a on a different level, and eventually by your experience you will used to it to kind of like have those saved chunks in your head already in the next interpretations, because a lot of interpretations in all different setups are have the pretty much the same structure, and your long memory kind of gonna still, it's kind of like a riding on a bicycle, like you're not gonna forget those things anymore. The only things that gonna happen are will be just maybe a difference in the topic, difference in the numbers, maybe the names, locations, but overall structure and the logic of that appointment will be pretty much the same. So that's where you can when you're gonna have this kind of you're gonna create that pattern of your chunks in your brain, that you're not gonna have to think twice or think too long for something. You're just gonna have it all the time with you, pretty much, right? So it kind of works like, yeah, it's gonna work like, yeah, like little anchors in your brain, and you're just gonna grab it whenever you're gonna need it and feed that. It's gonna be like a template, and you're just gonna put the things that are new to you to those templates, and it's gonna make your interpretation also way easier. Now, signposting. So this is something we never talked about. And your signposting is a little bit different here. So it's still a chunking idea, but signposting is more about using those words and phrases from your chunks to kind of like guide you through the entire system of the conversation, the entire logic, right? So probably the signposting will be the words that you can fit in your templates already, like those pausing words that can help you stop the conversation, follow up the conversation. You can find those different words that you can replace in the conversation. So probably like the most common words I would say will be like a word next, or finally, or however. So you kind of building a contrast in between those words, and now in your chunks you got not only the template, but you also have a bigger pool of words that you can eventually use in your interpretation, right? So for example, if you you're gonna start to recognize, let's say the words maybe like however and nevertheless, right? So those are the words that they both show the contrast, but in this case the nevertheless also give kind of like the sense of that you can replace it, like let's say despite that something happened, right? So even small changes, kind of like in your sentence structure, will signal the different shift in a signposting. So the idea can shift, like these signals like kind of tell you about the idea of the word. So in that case, let's say if we're saying now we're moving from the problem to the solution, right? So you don't remember like the words exactly, but you have that compression between the problem and the solution in those words, seem like the however, nevertheless kind of. So you can use simple kind of marks in your brain as well. Well, obviously it will take time. That you can have those contrasts, like the brackets, the pauses, eventually and then the chunks together. So your brain gonna used to it so much that pretty much you will be able to take any kind of interpretation if it's just coming to the words. You will not get stuck anymore. Like also your vocabulary will be much more richer thanks to that, because you're gonna keep practicing with those different words all the time with the different context and those different anchors from your chunking as well, that it will help you pretty much like provide any kind of conversation whenever you just need to add the new stuff to your templates, like to your memory templates, right? So that's something. I mean, it's you need to practice with that. That's for sure. But eventually, yeah, that's gonna make your life way easier, right? Now, how if we have all built up with our wording and we still providing this consecutive interpretation, well, there are people over there, and now you have to be able to handle how to crosstalk between them, how you can handle interruptions, and basically, like if you are in a, let's say in the medical sessions or courtroom sessions, you're going to hear a lot of different voices also, so you need to filter those things as well to focus on the most important context of the conversation, right? So if you are, let's say, at the court and now you you have few speakers, and they interrupt each other, and someone is asking about one thing, the person from, let's say, the background somewhere is talking about something. Now the client is answering, and eventually you're gonna start talking as well. So that's like this cross talking gonna break out like to the big chaos in your head at some point, and you're gonna need to focus on which message you actually want to deliver, and which messages totally like filter out. So it's not more like just grabbing those chunks or grabbing or anchor anything. It's more like a management of your brain. So now your brain will need to kind of like focus on one picture, instead of looking like the whole kind of like environment, and the background before that, right? So you pretty much, if you are providing this kind of interpretation, and you are filtering out everything, you need to be clear, and you need to assess what is the most important information that you want to provide and what you have to forget about. So now, if someone breaks in, kind of like there's a conversation, it works very well when you have family members, for example. So if there is a statement of the person you're translating for, and eventually you suddenly have a random question from like just from the side, like from behind you. So here you kind of need to decide, like, do you want to interpret that immediately right away, or you want to wait for the original statement of the actual client and then kind of conclude those two together, or you can pretty much just pause and wait till they finish, without like losing any information, right? So that's something that eventually, where that management is coming up, that you have the control of your interpretation process, how you want to deliver that message to later on, right? So in those cases, we're not only talking about words. So let's say there's a statement of the client who is, let's say, standing together with the family member. And now the client is saying something that should be agreed. And from that, the other person is like nodding the head that it's no, right? So in this case, we have involved like verbal and non-verbal, like the gestures and stuff. So the contact, the eye contacts are there. Sometimes you're also using like how to call it, like pauses, but more like a strategic pauses, when they pretend that they think about something, right? So now, should you deliver that as well or not? So kind of also you have those breakouts with the awkward moments, when there's that awkward breaks, silence sometimes, right? So when you're kind of have this management now, and you know how to deliver the message, you can focus on which prioritize and which one is important to focus on. So eventually, when you start like practice and practice and practice, you will see the patterns. So like right now, we know about the patterns if we think about it. So usually we have family members. That's one of the patterns when they're interrupting. Sometimes we have maybe in the questioning, we have two opposite sides, let's say accused, defendant, and now they're gonna have like argue about something. Like this guy's lying, no, this guy's lying, this guy's not, no, this guy. So in those cases, again, you have to focus on which need to be provided first, right? So you're kind of like your inside notes. You have to focus on the content, and like pretty much because it's going to be so dynamic at some point that you might lose track on it. So first of all, I would say, because at the end you still need to be accurate in your interpretation. So I would say focus on the main three things. So basically, who is the main speaker? So the person that you're translating for. And then who spoke when as a first or second, and why, like what was the reason, right? So in this case, let's say family member will start interrupting, like why are they interrupting? Why are they even talking about this, right? And when you kind of like identify those things, it's going to be way easier for you to focus on the proper channel, like to deliver the message to them, right? So if we look onto that, like in the general, so pretty much, let's say I got here somewhere actually just a quick sentence. Quick sentence. All right, so a lawyer is questioning a witness. Imagine that. Now the lawyer is saying, can you describe what happened on the evening of March 12th? And then when the lawyer is speaking, the witness is already interrupting the lawyer in the mid-sentence, and he's like, actually, no, it wasn't 12, it was 13. And that is happening a lot in different appointments, right? So then when the witness started interrupting with this 12 and 13, the lawyer is still talking his sentence when like kind of like, okay, so because it was, can you describe what happened on the evening March 12th? Interruption from the witness, and the lawyer is still talking when you arrive to the store, for example, right? So now they're talking kind of at the same time. So the witness is interrupting the lawyer, for example, in this case here, because he wants to correct the details about that day. And the lawyer did not stop. And now you're entering this cross-talking situation, right? So in that case, you as an interpreter, pretty much, the best approach, kind of, it should be like pause and control who is saying what, right? The other thing, you can simply pause them too, and you can just say like, can you please speak at one time so I can deliver the message to both of you, right? Now, there is also that important part when the witness mentioned about a different date, and in that case, you have to also figure out that you should stop them and deliver that message to the lawyer that it was not 12. The witness stated it was 13, right? So that's going to the lawyer, and basically after that, the lawyer can also change his questions after that. So pretty much when you are between that, yes, you can still go politely. You can tell them, just pause, please, and one at the time. But you can also mention the witness stated this, right? So that's something that can help kind of like both parties, and also like, well, keep the flow more accurate. All right, so the last thing is how are you going to detect all those different things? So the prosody awareness, kind of, it's more like it gives you ability to recognize what's going on with the person speaking in the language, like what's going on in their speech. So sometimes if you're talking to people, you can pretty much you can recognize whenever if there is a different tone, if they, let's say, they're sad, maybe if they're pausing too long, too many times, maybe they are in the stress, maybe they're shy. So there's a lot of those things, and eventually that's where the prosody awareness is coming from. That you will also learn how to recognize those things, like what are the intention of the person speaking, what is the general attitude of the person that is speaking, right? And what can be the meaning of the message, which not always can be verbal. Like that's again where they may be, but that's a little bit more into psychological sessions. But yes, if someone, let's say, if they lying sometimes or saying something different, maybe, well, their eyes gonna roll up in the other side, or like they're gonna start moving their hands too often, right? So you can kind of see that this person is maybe nervous, stressed, maybe something is going on. Well, at some point, you can eventually also notice right away also their medical conditions, right? So that also helps when you are aware of those different situations, right? So if we go into like everyday conversation, there's always some, like whenever people do communicate, most of the time they're kind of like, you can see the meaning in their voice. You can notice that meaning in their voice. So let's say if they're pausing too often, well, they kind of like building a suspension now. Like that's the suspense that you're waiting for, like the big shock or something, right? Or a big surprise. If they're rising their tone or kind of like lowering their tone to like very low, maybe that's where the stress is coming up. So in that cases, you'll be able to recognize eventually how these people react to the questions at the court, and you'll be able to deliver the same message with the same tone or like with the same rhythm of that message, and that can also give the lawyer or the judge that idea that, okay, there is something wrong with this answer. So now you are not going to be only the extension of the voice, but you will be also the extension kind of like of their feelings, if that makes sense. So it will help understand the other person, like speaking English, for example, that there is something wrong, something is going on. So that's kind of gonna help with the flow of the conversation, right? Now, if we go in the opposite side, so let's say the judge gonna pause and like before delivering the decision, so like, yeah, the big verdict is coming and the judge is pausing as well, and because that's going to show like kind of like the importance of that message. This is the final verdict, and this is what's coming. Of course, there's like a pause and there's the tension build up, and yeah, so you can also work with your client building that as well, so you can also deliver the same message from the other side. So I always say yes, learning about like paying attention to these little details, it will help. It will help a lot, and you will also feel like now you're not only saying like simple just the words, but now you're actually kind of like a mirroring the person that is talking, right? Any questions for this one? Nope. Hi.
Hi Peter. Wow, this is great information. About mirroring. Can I
Uh-huh.
just so in general, from what I've learned, I that is even I spoke to one interpreter years ago who told me that she when she did court interpretation, that she mirrored like exactly the clients what they were saying and the emotion and everything. So I understand that that is the correct thing to do, right?
Mhm.
That's what you're speaking when you're saying the mirroring,
Yeah.
about the intonation, the
Yeah.
emotion. And just a question, when you were mentioning very relevant people speaking multiple times, cross as you cross talk, for example, when you have like a case conference and you have multiple people, some that are generally the WCB and the claimant, those are the ones that we are interpreting for. But
Mhm.
when they are talking in between themselves and or um, generally, is there any additional advice that or reminders that you can give about those situations, um, to include in our introduction to organize those kind of situations better?
Sure. Yeah, you can do that. During your introduction, you can just tell them right away, please speak one at a time. Um, or try your best. Speak one at a time so I can deliver the message. Um, any like a cross talking might disturb the accurate interpretation, right? So you can put that in the words and just let them know that yes, you can still provide the interpretation, but it's going to be difficult, and some of the message might be lost eventually. So yeah, definitely you can tell them at the beginning, please speak one at a time. But now you're going to have to say it in both languages, right?
Sorry, so and also could you provide some other insight or tip about like when they speak in between themselves in English, like say the a physiotherapist, for example, will speak to an employer or to the WCB caseworker. So they're
Mhm.
having a conversation with themselves, and
Mhm.
we're supposed and like how to manage those situations. Let's say if the claimant wants to know what was said, and then how would you suggest the best way to distinguish each speaker when we're interpreting each part, if
So
so?
that's where you kind of, well, that's where you doing this whole
लेकिन ये
management.
लोग जो है वो मुझे दूसरा एक इंटरप्रेटर
Oh,
है.
oh, sorry. So yeah, that's where your brain is turning as a manager, pretty much. And in this case, you have to figure it out who is the first speaker, who is the second speaker, and who will be the third speaker. So if the client want to know what they are talking about, you will need to say that the physiotherapist says, right? Or the employer say, like, do not summarize. You still need to do the interpretation and provide the accurate message what they're saying. Um, it might be easier just to say, oh yeah, they're just talking about this. But yes, you have to still filter those two guys, let's say physiotherapist and the employer, and you need to deliver both of those messages to the client.
Okay, but if the client does not state that they want to know what they said, then it's like, so we would just be interpreting what between the client and the caseworker, unless we are requested to interpret a particular conversation. But we could we say at the beginning, since there are multiple people who will be speaking, please advise the interpreter if there is a particular, if you're addressing the claimant, or if there's a particular question you have that you want interpreted, please state it. You know, to let them know as well that like, does that make sense?
Mm, so yeah, well, we're kind of actually going to jump to here. Like you can, if you can see on the slides, the storytelling approach, kind of. So we're gonna hop into this a little bit. So
Okay, sir.
now but you're also gonna be kind of like a narrator of the this whole situation as well.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Peter,
So,
may I answer this question?
yes, please go ahead. Sorry.
It's not like I'm gonna answer the question because I believe there is no answer to that, but I can just share my experience.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I had so many situations like it was described. So I can say that I'm a very assertive interpreter, and in a way kind of aggressive in a professional way. So when case worker, let's just take a simple example, won't stop, and even after I interrupted, like the interpreter speaking, and I just tell them my speech that that I am not able, like interpreter is not able to keep up with the speech. Could you please chunk it into like sentences? And the case worker keeps talking, without paying any attention of the interpreter's attempt to do her job, right? So I interrupt again, because if I don't do that, that means I'm not doing my job. And when, let's say, an employer talking to a case worker, just a dialogue, and the client is just sitting there, like doesn't know what's going on. Maybe they are discussing him or her. I have to intervene. Like it's a duty. It's not like I may intervene, may not intervene. It's a duty for me to do my job. So then the client knows exactly what's going on in the room, because it's a meeting about the client, right? It's like his or her destiny is being decided, So I usually interrupt, and maybe the first time it doesn't work, but the second time it works. They have to keep in mind that there's an interpretation going on, and it's consecutive, and it takes time. And yeah, that's basically my input.
That's great. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
That is helpful. So just interrupt as much as I need to, even if it's a bit delayed, but make sure that everybody is on board. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
you
your-
can do that. The same thing at the court. If you are actually in the middle of the court, you can interrupt the judge speaking.
The thing
And
is
now,
about the court, it's easier at the court because the judge, he or she, they are like moderators. They see that
Yeah.
the lawyer is going on, and they keep in mind, and then they will interrupt. So if, let's say, by any chance, if interpreter won't interrupt, so the judge will. So that's also from experience. So it's easier. But I think the toughest people to work with is the case workers, WCB case workers, and the lawyers.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's what I think too. And then, well, sometimes maybe the doctors, but not all. But the case managers and the lawyers, yes, they kind of have like they feel like they have their own kingdom, and now they're ruling the kingdom. So you kind of need to wake them up from that dream, because technically you're still the most important person during those sessions, and they need to realize that. So if there is something like too much going on, and your memory's not catching up anymore, you just stop them eventually. You can just stop them. Yeah.
That's great advice. So we can if we're trying to do our best job to convey all the conversations, like even if it's between the employer and the physiotherapist, for example, and that the employer is going very fast, for example, they're going long phrases, then we can just interrupt them and say, I'm sorry, I want to, I interpreter it wants to relay the information as accurately as possible. Could you please repeat this? So we have to be just doing that, even if it's delaying it longer.
I never apologize because it's a job. It's a part of the protocol. It's part of the code of ethics.
Yeah.
This is interpreter speaking, like in a nice, smooth, professional, assertive voice.
Yeah.
And then you say what you just said. There is no like apologies for what. I apologize for me doing my job. There is like, I usually don't.
No, yeah, no. Generally, I'm same. Yeah. I'm same too in general like that. But there's always it's a good reminder.
Okay. All right, let's hop in. Second slide quickly because we're gonna run out of time. So memory techniques. I like this one. Starting from visualization. So visualization is, I believe, the most helpful practice you can do. By the default, our brain love remembering images. That's where we have the memories. That's where we remember things based on the situations or the scenes that we saw in the past. And probably that's why sometimes we can't remember the poem that we try to memorize or something like that, because they're just words. So your imagination and how you're going to visualize the conversation, it will help you a lot. So if the witness, let's say you are now at the court, okay. So if you are at the court or you are at the office law and the witness is going to start talking about the situation, it's kind of like, imagine like you're going to start watching a short video. So it will describe the event itself. He will start telling about the location. What is the sequence of the sequences of all the things that are happening, and eventually you can kind of like visualize that scene, what is happening when he's talking about it, right? So it will create, again, it will create kind of like a huge anchor in your head, that now you will kind of also know which words gonna fit as best when you start doing the interpretation, and you're not gonna have to think twice anymore if that word actually fits. So whenever you visualize the situation while the witness is saying something, you're already building that video in your head pretty much, right? Like you can see that picture in your head, and that will help you put the correct words to that, right? So it's kind of like, yes, you are like a director of the movie and they are providing you the script pretty much, right? So that's a good part about this, like how our brain works whenever we're going to start just switching a little bit here and there. And now we're not going to focus only on the words in the conversation, but actually we're going to start seeing the scene of what happened. It will definitely help you. Semantic gathering. Okay, I think we're going to have to do something with this next week. All right, so the gathering, the clustering, so all that you have to group up for the concepts, all the information, like you building up the puzzles here, so all the pieces of the information together, and you're like pretty much building everything to the one speech. So now you have you build your movie already, you have your video, now you piece up all those things together, and basically you're gonna recognize information in a kind of like in the order, like what makes the, like in the logic sense. So your categories will be kind of like now you're gonna put your videos in little folders in here. So it's still like building those chunks, like the chunking stuff, but now here, instead of just words, you're also building a picture to this. So the best thing, like whenever we have that, it's say if a witness is building that movie for you. So again, there will be a timeline in that, because yes, they have to figure it out what's going on. Now we have actors in the movie, so the people who are involved in the scene. What are the actions and the events that happen in the scene? And eventually, during all those things, the witness is still describing the details for that. So that's where the script is going, right? So let's say if we have a witness stating, let's say at the police station or still at the court. So your timeline in this case will be your time of arrival, your people involved.
ये सामने जो लकड़ी के खिड़की के इर्द गिर्द हैं
ये तो balcony तो हटानी है.
Alright, there you go. So, timeline, time of arrival, let's say, or what time it happened. People involved, well, you're going to describe, let's say, a suspect that the witness noticed, right? Or the attacker. Actions, well, all the evidences of the situation. He is describing what is happening and what the suspect is doing. And eventually you have the description and the details where the whole statement is made when he's doing this under the oath, or he's swearing that yes, this is what happened and this is my statement, right? So that will help you, like when you have grouping of that, now you have your chunking, you have your grouping of the facts, and plus you put the visualization. Yes, you have a full episode of that, the full scene of the movie, right? Again, storytelling, that's another thing that you can also have in that. So in this case, the storytelling can be related, like here we were talking with Diana, when there's the third person listen, and now the storytelling approach, you kind of linking those two facts, whatever the one person and the second person is saying, and you are still a kind of like a building a narrative scene for the person that need to hear it, right? The other part of storytelling is if you talking about the one person only. So in this case, we have the witness, and let's say the witness is building this full visualization narrative here, but it's just too long, right? So the information that he's providing, like let's say we have the timeline, we have the people, the actions, descriptions, but instead of just saying this in a very quick, short sentences, it feels like he's reading the entire book. So in that case, you kind of need to group your facts now. So from all those situations, it's usually happening actually, it's usually happening whenever, let's say, psychological appointments are happening, right? So when people are talking. And all right, hold on. I think we're gonna have a pause because, oh yes, we have our guest speaker. I haven't noticed that. Never told me he's here. Raj, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Well, there you go, guys.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I can hold on with this slide.
No, I'm not sure how much time do you have. I realize that you might be behind.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. We're going till 5, so we're good.
Going till 5.
Yeah, but so if you can just share some knowledge here, that was the whole idea to have you here. Appreciate it very much, guys. Meet Raj Sandal, our boss.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Good to see people joined here. Quite a few, actually. I know there's 30 altogether. Yeah, that's great to see people are keen to learn, and that's great things to see. Talking about, I believe this is all about talking about the court interpreting today. Is that right?
Yep. It's all about the legal today. Yes.
Unless anybody have a question, I know you guys, some of you guys are already performing your services in the court, which definitely is a great asset for us. But at the same time, I do have my own experience of the last, and I believe now it's 20 years in the court. Attended like almost pretty much every court and every kind of courts in Canada and different provinces. So unless anybody have a particular question, we can definitely discuss about that. If not, then I can definitely talk about some general tips and general topics which we can talk about that quickly. If somebody have a question at this point, we can definitely look into that. If not, then that's great. I might it come up when. Oh, I think somebody's saying they're not able to see the screen. I'm not sure if that's the case.
Let me see.
And I can see.
Yeah, those are old.
Those are old one. Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, great. All right. So if no questions, just wanted to make sure that being in, I think I was listening a little bit about Peter's comments, what he was just talking about general code interpretations and how it should be conducted as in a professional interpreter when you go into the code. Even though we know that judge is the overall in charge of all proceeding, whatever is going on, but when it comes to in terms of interpretations, interpreter should take charge at some legal points or in a way that you are the one should be controlling if that's if it comes to the interpretations. What I mean to say, like not controlling judges or other lawyers, but how to control their tone or their whatever they are saying and how much you can grasp and the pace of the whole proceeding. So that's saying that it could be both ways, right? If the witness or testifying person is giving a story, and I know sometimes there's a very intense kind of cases where some of the emotional stuff is involves some kind of sexual assault or some other stuff, and they have a huge story to talk about. They have a lot to talk about. They have a lot to share to the judge. But again, you as an interpreter, you need to make sure that you are taking chunk by chunk and making sure accuracy is there. So you need to control wherever you need to. I was listening, some of the people have a very good comments about how to control the situation and how to control their pace. There is always a respectful way to do the things on your own, but if things are not getting the way you want it, there's always a way to get judge's indulgence into that. I respectfully ask, I just wanted to get your assistance in terms of my performance of my job, that I'm having some issue with collecting everything at a time, and they're not pausing for me, and they're not giving me enough space to perform my job. Could you please ask or instruct them to speak slowly and chunk by chunk, also take appropriate pauses so that I can perform my job without missing or basically missing out anything or doing it incorrectly. So that's another way you can ask indulgence of the judges, and they're very good actually in their job. They most of the time they do that on their own without even you asking them to do that. But sometimes they are busy too, and they are busy in writing or concentrating more onto the testifying or witness whatever they are saying, and they're taking some notes as it's at the same time, because they're at the end of the day, he or she is the one who's going to make a decision on the case. The other thing is that there are few other things you can definitely do that proper listening and note taking and those kind of things. Definitely you need to we always say that don't personally involve into any of the assignment or cases which you are going into, but at the same time we also wanted to make sure that or emphasize the need of concentrating and getting up to the level of interpretation where you need it only up to the level of interpretations. You need to get involved into the case to better understand exactly the situation. And we are a human interpreter. We're not just the AI or a machine interpreters. We need to see their emotions, how they are talking, and how they're expressing, and that's why we need to see and exactly how they are feeling and how they are expressing their stuff. I remember the RA case I was doing in BC code where there was a sexual assault and this person was explaining what happened, how this happens. And of course, she's crying at the same time. She was expressive. And there's when somebody cry, of course, their voice is also going to be a little bit disturbed or changed and not very clear. And at the same time, she was very fast. She wanted to express what exactly happened to her. She had a lot to talk about, and also the crying. There's quite a few things together making the job a little bit harder for me. And that's where I needed to make sure that whenever there is a pause or whenever there is some sort of space I find myself, I need to interject myself into that. So I know sometimes people are good and taking pause, or sometimes if you tell them to take a pause, they do. But even sometimes if they don't do it on your own, sometimes even you request them to do that, they're still not, because they are more wanted to tell their story. And not necessarily they are ignoring your request, but they keep forgetting because they don't used to with this kind of setup with the working with the interpreters. And that's where the interpreters part is more important, to see and interject yourself wherever you needed to cut themselves off. I know it's a bad or rude to cut somebody when they're talking, but that's part of our job. We need to cut them off. We need to interject ourselves into the space where we need to cut them, and then be a little bit louder than that, so that they know now that the person is speaking, they will pause, they will stop, or they will slow down. And that's how you can also control their pace if the other things, traditional things won't work. Proper listening, as I said, you need to concentrate and listen exactly what's going on without any extra distraction, or your phone is beeping in your pocket and you're kind of distracted. So stay away from those kind of things. Note taking is very, very important. Taking notes, especially for key points like the numbers, the dates, and other important points. You take a notes, and when you start interpreting those things, you don't need to write the whole line, what they're saying. You just need to take the points, important points or key points. And then when you start interpreting, you just start connecting them together. So they said they came on this day, and then this was the number they reach out to, and then this is what happened. So that's how you can accurately interpret exactly what they said, rather than asking clarification. What was the date? What did you say again? Kind of those things. Even sometimes the names, those kind of things. Take a notes for kind of a shorthand where you know exactly what you wrote right there, and use them when you're interpreting those. Other than that, there's a few other things definitely you can do. Position yourself in a right way where you can clearly see and hear everything to the both parties. Sometimes there's some documents they're showing and some other stuff they are talking about, and it's a good idea to look out those documents in front of you, in front of the witness, if there is in there, for your reference, so that it's great and it's helpful for you when you're interpreting for that. I think that's pretty much I can talk about quickly for this. I know Peter gave me only 15 minutes. If anybody have any questions, we can talk about that for the next 5 or 10 minutes I have.
Guys, go ahead, because we're not gonna have a chance for the next 3 months for this.
No, that's not right, but I'll try to jump in wherever I can or wherever I spare the time. So yeah, unmute yourself and ask the question if anybody have that. Feel free to do that. If not, then definitely I'll let you guys carry on. Thank you very much, and keep showing the interest. Keep interpreting right way.
Oh, I do have questions, but
Please. Yes, please go ahead.
so it is a normal thing when. So you mentioned when they are in the client is emotional, and they are relating different stories all at once, and so in general, I am trying to get every single every sentence. Get every sentence, but from what I'm understanding, and I haven't not experiencing that in those cases. But if I were in the future to have to get more of those scenarios where are very long testimonies are made, so what I'm understanding is when they go, it's more about getting in that situation, getting more the organizing the concepts, the precise the dates, the qualifiers, those things, and then other things that are like if they will repeat themselves in that is not it's more about getting the idea and the times, like the most important parts of it conveyed. Yeah. Yes, did I understand that?
Yes, if I understand your question, I believe you're saying like to summarize and the idea and interpret it that way. If that's what you're saying, they summarize their concept, what they're trying to say that, and then interpret that way.
Oh well, because from what I understand, we cannot have omissions. We cannot. Everything has to be precise, and sometimes when they will say certain like there's a lot of repetitive things that they might say, and then that kind of takes away from. We're trying to focus on the main elements of what we're supposed to of what they're saying, and then sometimes those unimportant aspects can as Peter said earlier, can be distracting, and so how to keep like the focus and concentration in those situations more so is my.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly, but if I put it this way, let's put it this way. Yes, we cannot summarize it. We need to be word by word what exactly they're saying. Sometimes there is a specific words they're using, and that's exactly we need to stay as close as we can, so that the court exactly understand what was the situation, what was going on. And sometimes they do repeat, yes, and we do need to repeat the same things as they're saying. And again, sometimes that even though there's a oath or going on, like everything they say that everything will be truthful and everything, but reality is how many people are truthful in the court, right? They're not mostly, especially when it comes to the criminals things, and people are trying to hide things, and they have different reasons to lie in the court, and we are not there to judge them, right? We are simply delivering their message, word to word or stay as close to as what exactly they're trying to say there. Summarization is definitely it's not a good idea. And that's why we need to interject, we need to stop them, we need to cut them off wherever we needed to, wherever we think we need to. Sometimes that's very, very important thing. They have a good reason to lie, and we do not need to assume. We should not assume it. Why their person is lying. Everybody in the court probably at some point know that they're lying. And so do we as an interpreter. We sometimes judge and see person is lying, but we need to stick exactly what they're saying so that let the judge make the decision on that or judgment. Nobody else is allowed to make the judgment. But yes, that's why when somebody is emotional and there's something like that going on, you need to interject. You need to cut down to them so that you stay as close as what they are saying. So, for example, if you are speaking and I need to speak the same time, that's why we say like the interpreter is the one we have a biggest skill out of like 10 others. One is the language. Definitely, we are the either dual language or multilingual for sure. But on top of that, we have a skill which we can hear and speak at the same time. And that's what the skill we all need to develop in ourselves as an interpreter, that we are listening and we are speaking same time what we are listening. Right? So that's exactly, we need to keep saying the same thing in our language, whatever they're saying, right after the one sentence is finished, especially when there are kind of a long story and emotional stuff in there. Oh, I went there. Same thing, you're gonna say, I went there, he was there, and he hold me there, hold me there. Like at the same time, you're gonna keep saying that so that you're not waiting for 3-4 sentence or the whole big paragraph to finish, and then you're gonna start doing that, right? So at that time, you're gonna be continuously doing that right after, and interjecting and cutting yourself and putting yourself into that, rather than without waiting for the other person to stop for you or pause for you. I believe that answers your questions.
Yes, it's a bit difficult for me to explain my question, but yeah, like when they are gone very long and very emotional, and we didn't clearly hear what something that they said, but I understood basically the best solution for that is to continue being assertive and interrupt when necessary. Even if it's like that kind of scenario. Yes, thank you.
Don't let them go too far. Don't let them go too far.
Yeah,
from
yeah.
And if the voice is cutting down or their crying is making you listen harder, and that's where you need to ask judge to interject, and if they need to repeat, they need to repeat for you. But you cannot assume. You cannot just make the things up for you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yes.
so
Thank you.
you need to clearly hear. If you cannot hear, you cannot perform, you cannot interpret for sure, right? I know sometimes there is like so bad crying is involved and so bad, and you can't even make their words understand exactly what they mean by that, right? And that's where you need to say exactly. It happened very recently. This was not like that. Just for example, this was a mental issue case. Like there was like some drug involvement and some mental health issues involved. And this person, when we interpret the lawyer or the judge asked him something, and his answer is totally unrelated, have nothing to do with that. So that's exactly I tried to do a few times, and then everybody's like, what? what are you talking about? And then after I stop, and then I said, Your Honor, I believe there is some additional factors working here. And the answers I'm getting is totally unrelated. If you want me to continue doing the same interpretation, which definitely not going to make sense, I will do so, but I'm letting you know for the record. And the judge, he said, yes, I noticed that too. I believe there is a mental health involvement, so we are going to order an assessment for that. But he thanks me for that. But again, unless until we realize that, or sometimes they realize, and sometimes the lawyers know their client, and they say, yeah, I think this is what exactly is the case, what the interpreter is saying. But for important for you to put that on record, so that everybody involved know exactly that you are not making the things up, or you're not giving some sort of weird answers on your own. You're getting this from the person, right? And then put that on a record. 1 or 2 times you exactly do the same thing, and let them figure out on your own, the judges and lawyers. If they don't, just interject and make your submission at that point. You're allowed to do that. And you can say, hey, Your Honor, this is interpreter's submission. I wanted to say that the responses I'm getting is totally unrelated. I'm not sure if there is any drug or other issue is there. You still need to be very polite and very respectful towards this person. This person might be doing it deliberately, have some reason to do that. That they might think like that he's a mental issue and then they let him go. Who knows, right? But I'm not there to make a judgment. Let the judge make the judgment, but I can put that on record for everybody. Does it make sense?
Oh yeah, and it's very helpful that the way you said it to when we interrupt to say interpreter in submission or
Yeah.
interpreters. Yeah, that's great
I
because
always say that like that way, or respectfully, interpreter wanted to say something. And
Mhm.
so that they know it's not coming from the other side, it's coming from you as an interpreter. So always say that whenever you wanted to ask some clarification, hey, your interpreter want to clarify, interpreter want you to repeat this thing, I didn't hear you. So that they know exactly it's coming from you, not from the other side, not from the person. He's not asking clarification, it's you asking clarification, you as an interpreter.
Yeah, I have had this similar situation where the client was saying things that, or I did something that was not quite making sense to me, and it was difficult for me to
And it happens. It
And
happens very, very often. It happens, and
Yeah.
sometimes even the lawyers, they are too. They don't know even how to work with interpreters. Question is so long, and that's where I need to say, respectfully, I want the counsel to break down his question so that I can interpret exactly. Respectfully, you can say that, and the judge will say, "Oh, that's right. Please, lawyer, go ahead and answer. Ask the question again, but break down now."
break down small chunks. Yeah, thank you very much. That was very helpful answer.
No problem. Thank you. Anybody else? I can see Surinder Lally's question. Yes, Surinder, go ahead, please.
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm sorry, I'm joining very late. I have not been well for a little while.
Oh, thank you for joining us, even if you are not feeling well. But thank you. Go ahead with your question.
I hope I'm not asking questions that have been answered already. But I guess one thing is that I have been interpreting from 2011, and then there's been a break, and I've been on and off because of health issues. But I want to interpret in court. But how do I make myself feel adequate enough to interpret in court? I don't have certification yet. I've done all the courses with the Interpreters Lab.
Okay.
But yeah, how do I make myself feel like I'm good enough to interpret? Because I have attended some court matters in India, and I've done some discoveries here, and the legal words that they use, like in India, they use pretty much English anyways, but when they use the same, like the vocabulary here might not be the same, like they'll use different things. Like, how do I know like which one? Like in India, they don't say witness or they don't say defendant and plaintiff. They say deponent and respondent.
Opponents, yeah. That's-
Use the same terminology here, or do I use like some words like here? There's no word in English. They say in Punjabi they just say affidavit, or for warrant they say warrant. So how do I know which one is used?
Right. No, very good question. That's exactly what we are doing here through this program. So we are making people a little bit more confident when they go into the court, and then they at least feel a little confident, feel a little supported. And good way to, there is definitely Peter would direct you for vocabulary part or for abbreviations or other legal terminology part. He can send you the links and stuff where you can look into that, equivalent to the Canadian law system or the Canadian courts. But to go into the court and perform the job, how to make yourself comfortable through this program, of course, you will feel a little better. And then shadowing is the best approach. Go and work with the other interpreters, or at least go and see the other court where the interpreters are working. Courts are all courts are public courts. Anybody can go anytime, and there's no nobody can stop you. Especially when they're working in there, go and watch them or ask us. We can schedule you as a shadowing with some other experienced interpreter, and that's how you will know how to do that, what to do that. We can always start putting you in a smaller cases like bail hearing or something like that, where you can collectively going forward gain some sort of experience and then have confidence in terms of putting yourself into a position.
Yeah, I think my problem also is when I do assignments, whether it's legal or anything else, if I feel like, oh, I maybe not have done, like I could have done better, but I know the interpretation was good. I always feel like, oh man, I could have done better. I could have done better. And then, I ruminate over it, and I want to provide the best possible interpreting, because I've always interpreted for my parents and I always wanted them to understand what's going on. And I feel the same way with the clients that I interpret for. Like I want them to understand what's going on, whether it's somebody, that like some of the discoveries I've done, like some of them, it's just like, in the back of your mind, oh, this person is lying, but I still try to do the best I can, because that's the only way, justice and fairness to all parties can be involved, right? And then Peter did touch about shadowing and stuff about that. So I think I have one person that I might be able to shadow with, but now I have to wait until my health gets better. But yeah, thank you for that answer.
Let us know whenever you're ready. We can definitely arrange the shadowing for you. And
okay.
Thank you for joining, and thank you for your question. Yes. Any other question from anyone? All right, I believe that's where I let Peter to continue, and thank you very much for everybody. Keep working hard and making sure that you act and behave and present yourself as a professional interpreter when you go into the assignment, especially the course. Thank you for having me, Peter.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Raj.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you guys shy or what? You're asking me so many questions, and now no one is speaking. Okay. Hop into the lesson. So, well, you guys were actually talking about the stuff we have here today in the lesson, right? So, hopping to the last one. So, cognitive load management sounds fancy. What is it? So, cognitive load management pretty much summarize the other three things together. So that means, imagine that your brain is a full machine. And now you're gonna put together your chunks, visualization, schematics, storytelling, everything together, and eventually it's gonna make like a one big, beautiful movie. Deserve Oscar probably. So cognitive load management will pretty much allow you regulate how much information, sorry, you will process at the one time. So you still going for the accuracy here, but now when you know, like Raj mentioned, about all those things, plus how to visualize everything, how to put the chunks. So even with the limitation of your memory in your brain, you will be able to kind of like put the different, the long speech, you will be able to kind of like dismantle it for yourself. And it will be easier for you to understand, and eventually it will be easier to for the court to understand, right? So that's something that will definitely help. The good part is that in the legal settings, usually judges and lawyers, they kind of think in the same way already. So they like when there is a narrative coming up, and the statements are kind of in a narrative system. So whenever your interpretation will kind of like reflect the same structure of the scenario and what's going on, it's going to be easier for them to understand than just, just random simple words that you're saying. So that's going to work pretty much for both sides. Now, let's say that you are already operating in this system. So when you know the chunking, you know how to pause, when to stop people. You will know like about the visualization and stuff. Let's say there's a lawyer, and now I think that's what Raj also mentioned there, keep talking. So, and probably in the movies, you also notice that sometimes lawyers have these weird questions when it's like, so yesterday, approximately 8:30 p.m., after you left the building, you went to the store, then you crossed the street, and he's keep going. And basically he's talking like for 30 seconds, and at the end there's a question. But you already forget like what he was talking about at the beginning, like because your short memory is not used to it, right? So now that's where your chunking is coming, and now you have a visualization of that, what's going on. So like again, it's like a scene that, oh, it's dark, 9 p.m. He's going out on the street, he's passing, there are cars, right? Now he's entering the vehicle. So kind of like a scene from the movie, and that's going to make you easier for you to break everything and kind of like make notes in your head, also make notes on the paper eventually. And from those 45 seconds with the question, you're going to realize at some point that you just pretty much put everything together, and you are ready to interpret the same question to the witness exactly as it was said for those 30 seconds, right? So if you master all these things together, believe me, you'll be unstoppable. You will. Who knows, maybe you will learn how to read in mind as well. So we never know. So, okay, so just for a quick summary, how all of these things together work if you are at actually court and there's a session going on. So, yeah, so we have this big speech, and now first, you try to visualize everything. So buildings, cars, streets, it's dark, it's snowing, like you can see this in your head. Now you have the chunking system in your head as well. That's schematic and grouping everything related to the concept. So it's dark, so it's 9 p.m., for example. Actions, he's entering the car. People, yes, there are people walking, driving, right? Now, the storytelling of itself for those 30 seconds that witness is saying, he is kind of like you're putting the structure in all the logical sequence. Leaving the building, going on the street, entering the car, and keep going with other stuff, right? And eventually at the end, you have that cognitive management now. Your head can figure it out and decide when to cut it, chunk it, note, pause, and stop, memorize, and send it, right? So your brain gonna be like a unstable machine after that. So that's pretty much how about, I like this topic, this special one. It helps a lot in the future. All right, note taking. I promise we're gonna talk about this a little bit. And yes, so a good note taking on the beginning might be very difficult for you. Probably on the very beginning, you will start from some basics on your own. But eventually, if you're gonna practice as well with that, plus combined with your brain, it will have a perfect combo here. It's gonna be a perfect duo where you can deliver the message pretty much right away, right? Eventually, you're gonna start using the symbols, abbreviations. You will know like the terminologies eventually. So there will be a lot of different things that you're can include in the paper. And then beside that, you still have your story in your brain. And all together, gonna make absolutely amazing sense in that, right? So the note taken itself, and what is it actually? So in legal or medical settings, because like, yes, we're talking about these two. I'm not sure how about WCB, maybe sometimes as well, but it's not that complex usually. So in legal and medical settings, you choose, again, you're very selective here. So you're kind of using like a chunks, but now you're putting them on the paper. So in this case, those are like the key ideas in the conversation, in the sentence that they're talking, that will pretty much, let's say it's going to be just a trigger to your story. So one word that you're going to put on the note can be the beginning of the entire story you're going to say in the sentence to translate, right? And eventually, with the time and training, it's going to start being more and more like, accurate and accurate and accurate. So that's going to help. So basically, the rules for the note taking is that you have to pick up those key facts. So again, those little chunks. Legal terms. Well, eventually, the glossary can help because probably no one gonna be or not even try to memorize all the legal terminologies. Same thing with the criminal code, with the charges. For that, yes, you can have a cheat sheet or something, and that can help you as well. Again, numbers, dates, names, why it happened, where it happened. So you can create kind of like your own special vocabulary with the different symbols for each word or each meaning for that, right? And that if you're gonna try, you're just gonna write pretty much a whole conversation on the one tiny page sometimes, right? So let's say if we're going back to that the previous statement where let's say there's a witness statement and and gonna say, okay, so I arrived at the location approximately 9 p.m. and I entered the store. So there's a lot to say, but technically you can put in the symbols on your notes using like the most important is 9 p.m. that the witness arrived, right? So like 9 p.m. and I don't know, you can create a little arrow up or arrow forward or something that you entering somewhere or you arrived, right? And to that you can add another symbol and another symbol, and basically you have the full sentence in 4 symbols, but because you understand those symbols and you remember them, you're gonna know exactly how to say that again, and eventually gonna sound pretty much the same as the witness said. So that's pretty much how that works. If you want to structure the whole thing and work with that, but again, you have to go for the key points, like from the point A to point to the end, so the message actually have a sense, right? The biggest mistakes that you might do during the notes, well, they are related to accuracy. So if you will try to, instead of using like abbreviations, short words, symbols, or anything like that, and you're gonna try to start noting maybe a full sentence, eventually you're gonna stay behind because they will not gonna wait for you. If they're talking, they will gonna keep talking, and if you're gonna try to write the whole sentence, well, eventually you're gonna write a full book. And meanwhile, you're gonna fall behind so far that you're not gonna even know what they're talking about anymore, and probably gonna keep asking to repeat the questions or the answer, right? Another mistake that you might do, well, like there is no logic structure in your notes. So if the notes are not covered and not cooperating together with your head and what you actually figured out by chunking and like visualization and stuff, eventually not gonna have any sense, and you're just gonna start to read your symbols maybe on your notes, and it's gonna be more like a mumbling and no one gonna know what's going on, right? If you're gonna put random words, so maybe you try to replace your words, and it's gonna start losing the logic. The whole sentence not gonna make any sense anymore. That's another thing that you can get lost at some points. So yeah, if you want to try to start doing the notes, I would say practice first. Of course, probably WCB sessions are the best part to practice, because those conversations are not very demanding and you're still providing interpretation, but at the same time, yes, you can still, you know, play around and practice with the creating notes for yourself, eventually like create symbols that you might need. So that's something that can help, right? So the general idea whenever you're doing the notes is like, yes, you still listen first and then you're doing notes. So again, you listen, you have an idea in your head already, you can separate this to your chunks, and now you can write the key points to the paper. Another thing, yes, consistent symbols. So it's not like today you will figure out, oh, this is my symbol for the car today, and tomorrow is going to be a different symbol, because that will make you lost in that, and then you're going to get confused. And notes, keep them minimal. So again, like I said, you will be able to write the entire testimony on the one page if you're going to use and learn how to put this in the symbols and abbreviations and stuff. And well, number one, it's still your head is more important. Your memory is more important, because like I said in the previous slide, you are still now creating this whole scene, the whole movie in your head, and the notes are more like it's more like just a support to help out with that. So do not always rely only on your notes. Okay. All right, I have actually a couple of videos here that we can play, and let's see if and that's about the notes. So let me see if I can open these things. Okay, looks like it's working. Come on. Sorry, my computer is a little bit slow here when it comes. I hate Apple. Alright, can we see that? So they are just two short videos. I can provide you guys a little bit more later on because this lady is doing a very long. All right, hold on because it went too far. Sorry. So the person from the class just say random stuff, and the lady making the notes like she will be doing an actual court.
Then and spent her house in town and hours. She never did stop. Who can come up here and help me render this? Yes, Tatiana. I opened the speech to make them. First, she did an intro call. Then, 20 minutes later, she called me back and said that she would be leaving the house in half an hour. She never did. She never did come. You could do come like this. But remember, if that's all you need to, that's all she needed to prompt her memory. Round of applause.
So as you see, pretty interesting, right? Like you can pretty much create the full sentence in just 5-6 signs. But like I said, that lady is actually doing here's just another one. I will show you quickly. Show you this one. All right. Right? So just imagine you can have just a couple of things randomly written. Eventually, if you're gonna use to it, yeah, you can do a lot. You can do a lot. But again, like I said, notes are your support. So still, like how you create everything in your head will make more sense, basically. Wait, let's hop in. Next one. So I guess we're gonna just run today until we run out of time. And then we can stop. All right. Simultaneous.
Hi. Sorry.
Simultaneous interpretation. Yeah, just give me a quick second here, and then we're gonna hop in later on. All right, so what is it, why is it, and what's going on here? So we went through this in a couple different modules, I believe. And again, so this is the real-time interpretation, where there is only, let's say, 2, 4, 5 seconds, and then that you have time to catch up what's going on, and then you start interpreting right away. So simultaneous can be whispering. Sometimes it can be used like you guys are using the headphones and microphones, and you were sitting in a separate room as well. So that can also happen. But generally speaking, simultaneous interpretation for the court usually is done like also like with the whispering. So you're sitting close to the person and you're pretty much whispering whatever is going on. So in this case, that's more sophisticated mode of interpretation. That's something that usually you will need to have a better training related to this experience, definitely, because you have to catch up a lot. And also your brain is working on a high level here. That's where there is pretty much no time anymore to have a mistake, because now whenever the person starts speaking, you have this time between 2 to 5 seconds to listen what they say, understand everything in your head, now change it to the next language and speak it right away. So that's where like, yes, your short memory is working very fast. Sometimes you're not gonna have time for the notes anymore. You're just going straight with the whispers, and you have to just go as it is, right? That's why it's very, very complex, very serious, and there's like, yeah, there is no place for mistakes for this. So we're not going to talk much about simultaneous interpretation. Right now, as far as I know, we had barely 2 cases of simultaneous interpretation on the court, and that was one was in 2025, and one is currently running, and that is covered already by one interpreter. The other 2 cases for simultaneous interpretation, well, we had conferences. So there were 2 conferences last year going on, and where interpreters needed to join for simultaneous interpretation, and there was in total 4 of them for that. So we kind of have a designated team for this at this point, but yeah, I say, yeah, if you want to try it, practice. Also, there's good money for that, by the way, very good money. And you can join like the big political conferences, right, or something like that as well. So there's a lot of going on with that. All right, so how do you actually proceed that? Well, the first thing is how you want to approach that. So here you're 100% mirroring everything that is said. And like I said, you have those 5 seconds, maybe sometimes less, to understand everything, change it to the language, and then say it. So delivery of your interpretation need to be pretty much pretty equivalent to the target language, right? You have to still keep the attention to details. what is the tone of that, what's going on, how many people speaks. So this is very demanding, and you have like different things that are impacting your brain at the same moment. So the short-term memory is the priority in this case. So because in consecutive interpretation, you can rely like kind of on your notes and stuff, and you can like create this visualization and stuff, and then you can kind of have like the full context. And your short memory is not that occupied by the whole thing. But in the simultaneous interpretation, well, in this case, you're skipping everything else, and now you rely pretty much only on your memory, as it is, right? So it's very, very difficult. Whatever is used usually for this, so like I said, most of the time it's whispering, but also you can have headphones. There are special headphones for that with a microphone. You're sitting in a different room. Sometimes you might just sit like, let's say, a couple meters away from the person, right? Until it doesn't create a chaos in the voice and the recording, that you should be fine. So usually whenever they're using this for the court, if that, let's say, the person has a problem with hearing, that's where it sometimes has happened. Or if it's a special demand from the clients for the witnesses, right? Sometimes it's provide for the people that just observing the situation and will be related to that in either other way, right? So let's say if there is a witness testimony, because sometimes in the witness testimony, your simultaneous interpretation will not help. And that's because of the accuracy sometimes when the witness start to pause too often, or like try to answer different questions, or try to like avoid the questions, and now there will be too much time taking all those things when the simultaneous interpretation will not just going to help. You can just pretty much sit there and wait until this whole sentence is going to be said by the witness, right? Another thing when the simultaneous interpretation might be challenging, it's whenever there is a presentation of evidences everywhere. So like there's a lot of evidence laying on the table, there's a complex evidence presentation and stuff. And in that case, sometimes consecutive interpreting is preferred for that. So that's where we're two kind of like limitations, I would say, for the simultaneous stuff, right? The biggest challenge, well, speed. So speed of the speech. So whenever the lawyers will talk too fast and you can't catch up, and suddenly now if you're gonna stop and tell them to slow down, well, you're gonna lose like a full sentence or two, right? Legal English kind of like love those weird long words sometimes, so the complex sentences might be a problem as well. Terminology on the beginning can be a little bit a challenge as well, because sometimes we just need time to just to understand what's actually terminology, what that word means and stuff. Accent and clarity. So, well, accent and clarity also kind of can be challenging in the consecutive interpretation as well. But in simultaneous, yes, it can be a huge challenge, and you might too get lost at some point, right? So, yes, simultaneous is not for everyone. I just wanted to mention, just to include that in our module today, so you guys can have at least idea what is this actually and what's going on and how to work with this. So all right, site translation, because we had so many questions over 2 weeks. What is it, why is it, and how it's supposed to be done? So again, site translation is not No, side translation is kind of like delivering the message verbally, reading what is in the text, right? So you read the text and then you deliver the message. You're kind of like doing the translation of that, but speaking. So you're not writing it. So sometimes it's very important whenever, let's say, you have a legal text in front of you and there is a witness, for example, maybe a law office, maybe it's a cross-examination, maybe they need to sign something, and they have no idea what they're signing. So that's where you kind of like just want to tell them and explain what is going on. So in that case, you can quickly just take a look on the document or any other file, kind of like quickly scan it, read it, what's going on, and then you can decide like which terminologies require actual like literal translation and which can be pretty much just interpreted, like adopted kind of as interpretation, right? Because there are two different things. Some of the terminologies, well, you cannot maybe find a synonym for this, or you can not know how that's exactly going to sound in like, let's say, in your language. So you go into literal translation, so word by word. Now, the formal, all those files at the court and any legal proceedings, well, they are legal. So in that case, if you start translating them and writing something for the client, well, that's gonna make problems. So again, when you, let's say, if you when is it okay to do that side translation? So first, if we're talking about the legal settings, let's say if there is a scheduling notice, maybe, or like a simple form of the what's going to be next for the client, right? So kind of like a the documents without actually like the legal meaning, I will say, for the evidence or something. So scheduling notice, let's say, yes, they're scheduling for the court 3 times in the next month, for example, and then you can read that and tell them, yes, you are scheduled for the court 3 times. Helping clients, if he has received any kind of form, you can help them understand what is in that form written in English. But again, you are not delivering actual translation. You can read that, let's say, those instructions for them, and then just tell them what does it mean and what they have to do. So if it's more like whenever the lawyers will kind of like tell them like, okay, this is like informal, and you guys can provide a side translation to this, and it's not going to be like an official use at the court, right? Something like this. So you can help them. Now, medical settings, you can read the intake forms. So again, I think we talked about this last week. You can explain intake form and basic instructions. So let's say if there is, like it says on the medication maybe form, take it twice a day. Yes, you can say that. You can tell them take it twice a day. Any like medical but not critical documents, right? That will not affect their treatment, not affect their life, their health. You have right to help them out understand those documents. Now, community settings, here we're talking general government forms. Yeah, that's fine. Probably if it's anything from the school for the parents, you can help with that. Paperwork that is going on like every day, if they have to fill up something or they need to fix something, like they like write anything, you can tell them about that. Digital forms, again, so you can read I think we talked about this. You can read from the table, tablet or the phone, or like any forms like the Word documents or PDF documents. You can assist the client filling out those online forms, and you can kind of like navigate the portals or the software. Like you can tell them like when they have to, where they have to click yes or no or something like that, right? So you are pretty much helping to understand. You are not doing that by yourself, if that makes sense. So what is opposite? So when you can't do site translation, so again, a lot of interpreters can get like legal obligated if we're talking about any high risk documents. So legal, let's say affidavits, right? Court evidence, immigration documents, contracts, anything that relates high risk and can be submitted officially to the offices and staff. Well, in this case, site translation should not be provided. If the client need to understand this document, they should ask for actual translation of the document to like a certified translator for that. And in that case, it can be helped. So any of these documents require pretty much a certified written translation, not interpretation. So if you will see something like this at the court, and let's say the client just gonna randomly pull it out from their pocket and say like, oh, here I have the court evidence or something, can you just tell me what is it? Well, you cannot, right? So medical settings, again, consent forms. So if there is a consent form for the surgery or the procedures, well, they need to know what is actually written there. So again, that's where you cannot help them out. Usually, I would say in this case, I might be wrong right now, but I would say ask the doctor or the nurse to help them out, or that should be done by the translator, again, certified translator, and then the person can come over with this. Probably it's a little bit different if we're talking about emergencies, where like, yes, that procedure surgery is needed in the next, let's say, 3 hours, right? So that's something else. Discharge of the patient, discharge instructions, any with like legal rules or anything that can like any implications, legal implications, that can be something that should not be done as a site translation as well. And medications. So let's say if there's a medication agreement, that should not be also stated as interpretation. It should be done as actual translation. So let's say if a patient will sign something based on your interpretation, because you say like, okay, so you can sign that, it's all fine. And eventually after that, the person is getting heart attack. Okay. So yeah, in that case, you will say, yeah, you can sign it, right? You provided the site translation, it says you are fine, but you do not know what was wrong with him before. And maybe he has an allergy and he got a heart attack. So there is a huge liability risk for you if something like this will happen. So for site translation, basically the general rule, if the document requires signature of the person, if there's any official document, if there's anything related to legal consequences, I would say do not touch it. Just stay away from it. If they need it, they should contact the translators certified person that can put their stamp, put their signature under this and say, I did that. Okay. So that's where where we have to figure this one out, because I know that WCB also sometimes is asking for this, and it's like, yeah, you can do it. No, you should not do it. Oh yeah, today you can do it. Tomorrow, no, you cannot do it. So WCB is also not educated as well what exactly should be done, and whenever they sending you guys over there, and you are ending up at the hospital with a client, for example, well, that's where the problem can start. So you need to be aware of that. If you are unsure, I would say always you can call the office and we can help you out, right? Because we always do not know what can be the files that the client might to show you, and they want you to help with that. So that's something that can that need to be done, right? Okay, do we have any? Not sure if we're gonna make it this one. Well, we can leave it for the next week. That's fine. Another thing for the side translation, is that you have to state that on your session, especially for the physiotherapy and medical sessions. So whenever they ask you for the side translation, let's say you are dealing with those like intake forms, I believe, the health history questionnaires, maybe, or any other like treatment plans, something like this. So generally speaking, the safe side translation for you, whenever you can assist the clients, patients, is like clarifying instruction. You can do that, right? So let's say you can tell them like, okay, so here you have to describe your pain, right? You can help them reading questions out loud as well. So, and explaining what the question is asking for the client, right? So, and then generally you can help them like you can help them with the dates. Maybe there's a different structure of the dates, and then from that you can just hop in and then help them out. So what you should be careful with, if we're talking about WCB and medical, any consents for treatment forms. If there is anything for treatment forms, be careful. Anything that regarding liabilities, be careful. Insurance related documents, absolutely be careful. And medical history disclosures, you should also be careful with those, because you never know, right? So if now I hear there's another also option. What if the patient cannot read or write at all? Which can happen. So now it kind of switch your role a little bit. Well, not switch, kind of changes. But you still keep the boundaries on. So you need to tell them what exactly going to happen here, right? So you can still read everything for them. You know, just the neutral reading of the form for them. You can interpret each question for them, of course, faithfully, because that's the part of the code of the ethics. So you cannot lie whenever you're translating, right? Pretty obvious. You cannot simplify questions, or you cannot summarize the questions. So if anything in that form they cannot understand, read, they cannot write, so you still keep the same code of ethics in that interpretation, and you need to now read it and interpret as accurate as possible, right? then you need to confirm with the client. Do they understand what does it mean that you just told them? So again, like, do you understand the question? If this means like you have to put your date of birth here, right? Now, what should you avoid if the person like still keeping your boundaries? So you cannot decide for them. So that, well, that's something else, right? So even if there is an obvious answer, like let's say if they're asking what is the part of the body injured, and you look at the person and obviously they have a full left arm in a cast, well, that's obviously a broken arm, but you cannot still do that. You cannot decide, you cannot assume, right? So you still need to ask them for that. You cannot edit anything. And eventually, the most important part, guys, do not never sign for them. Ever, ever, never. Okay? If the patient cannot write, tell them to put the X mark or something else, right? Now, let's say you are helping during that form, and again, they cannot write, so tell them, okay, just put the X, and under that, you can put on your own just a note. The form was completed with the interpreter assistance. That's all. You don't have to put your name, you don't need to state anything, you don't need to sign anything. This is just information for the, for the provider, maybe like why there is an X over that or something, right? So, but that's if that you will feel more comfortable and you will feel a little bit more safe. It can be done, the form completed with interpreter assistance, and if you want actual proof of that as well, you can ask maybe a physiotherapist or the doctor or the nurse that they can sign that they are a witness of that. So you're still helping, but you're still keeping your boundaries, right? If that makes sense. So pretty much in the short terms, you helping them, but you keep your boundaries. You can help them read, but you cannot write. And again, if that's required and you will feel better, just put the quick like a note, right? And complete it all helped by the interpreter. Ask for the signature of someone from the location that is related to that case, for example, right? I believe that usually those cases are done whenever like there's a physiotherapist around you or someone they're asking you to do it, or the front desk receptions are giving that. So just tell them that sure, you can help, but that's what's gonna happen, and you will like to have a witness signature, right? So with that, your risk is going pretty down.
Peter, can I interrupt here, please, for a second?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, we're gonna hop into this next slide probably next week. So yeah, we can do a quick 5-minute questions. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just finished my assignment.
Oh, hold on, because I hear you very, very quiet. Okay, try it now.
Yeah, I was there with the WCB assignment today.
Okay.
They told me in the front desk, they asked me to fill forms. And then I said, like, I'm not allowed to fill the form where I can do the side translation. He called Sandil, and the Sandil manager, I think she's the assistant manager. She told her name is Aman, or I did not catch up properly, Aman or Amandeep.
Yeah, I hear about that story. I already yelled at them. Don't worry about it.
And you know that I left the assignment, like it was supposed to be like I'm booked from 1:45 to 3 p.m.
Yes.
I finished at 4 p.m. filling all the forms. There were 17 documents. I filled all the forms, I write it, and there's a specific place interpreter signature and signed. So
Also, they have like interpreter, like you can sign as an interpreter over there?
yes, they have a specific document says interpreter signature.
All right, well, I will have to take a look on those forms because we never had these forms.
Yes, and when I spoke to the front desk, the person he told is like, well, if this is the case, you people are not allowed to write the forms. We need to cancel.
And
We
say
need to
like, oh yeah, there's mistake in here. Yeah, I will have to check it out.
Yeah, and I also want to just let you know, when I spoke to the front desk person, he
Yeah.
told us, if this is the case, like you cannot you cannot fill the form, and we need to cancel the contract with Sandals. He said me that.
Who told you that?
Yeah, person, the front desk reception.
Oh my gosh, did they try to scare you? Or, oh wow, these people.
I said like that's the reason I asked the name. I said to whom I'm speaking. Then she said like I'm assistant manager. My name is Aman.
Uh-huh. And then the guys from the reception threat you that they're gonna cut
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. The thing is like I did it like there were 17 documents. I fill all the forms.
So what was it about?
It was all about like the numbers, the scales, like how her pain is going on now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but when you looked into that, do you think there was anything like related to their medication process or something?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty surprised by maybe they get smarter lately. That's why because we were telling them that interpreters should not do it all the time. And we keep that whenever we hear about the forms and stuff. And probably that's why they came with this smart idea where you have now the interpreter signature for it.
Yep, and it consumed a lot of time. To be honestly, like I need to leave it at 3 and we finished at 4 p.m.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
guess,
Sorry, can I interrupt you both? Sorry.
yeah.
I was with the Sandal also on the call. I missed it in the beginning, but the same thing, like a similar thing. I was talking last time. Can we help with the form? Because like couple times they send, especially the survey. Couple times I did with it because they told me, so I didn't know that. Like, I thought I had to help, and is that like not should be, or?
I mean, well, whatever you hear today about that, just keep in mind for now.
So we don't have to do it, right?
I mean, if you are unsure, because I guess, so CBIs have different forms, probably. LifeMark has different forms. Hospitals have different forms. And all these places have different forms. And now, since we started this new year, a lot of these forms probably have changed, but we never received any updates from them. So if you have a form in front of you and someone is asking you about that, just give me a call.
Okay. Thank you.
Just give me a call. Just to be sure that we are all kind of on the same page. And yes, if there will be anyone threatening you about breaking the contract or something, well, try not to laugh at them, at least.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because I'm pretty sure the random guy from the reception desk doesn't have that much power to break any contracts with anyone. So, all right, Azeb, please go ahead. And that's going to be the last question today then.
Yeah, I just want to add up in there that the initial assessment is the one I think they are mentioning, which is how they felt in the past 2 weeks, a month, the pain level, and also how they feel right now.
Okay.
Where is their pain is, like, which is we help them, like we read for them where they feel their pain, which is in the neck, in the back, or those things. So they are right, it takes time, a long time, it takes time. So those forms, we're not allowed to help them anymore. So I just want to be clear, we just gonna translate those forms for them, or we're not gonna translate at all?
So again, let's hop in once again to what we said today. So number one, you are not doing anything where there's medical reports, right? So that's number one. Nothing that is related to legal consequences that you're going to start noticing. You should not do any of these. No consent forms for treatment, medication, nothing related to liabilities, no insurance related documents, medical history disclosures. So that's a big no-no, right? Now, in place like physiotherapies, like those life marks, CBIs, the intake form, so the intake form are on the beginning, right? That's when the patient is coming first time to them, pretty much. Health history questionnaires.
Sorry, I
when
lost,
you-
I guess.
What's that?
I lost, I think, and just came back.
You lost something?
Thank you. Sorry. No, like the network was gone for a while and then it
Oh,
let me in
okay.
back again.
So the pain scales and treatment plans are in those forms as well, right? So generally safe to, if you are assisting them, so you can read those questions loud, which is the interpretation kind of side translation, right? You can explain it.
Mhm.
So what is the level of your pain? Mark it, right? Clarify instructions. So that means put the circle here, put the check here, describe the pain. So you're still not holding the pen, right? You're still not doing that for them. And eventually, if there's any dates or numbers that they have to put, well, you have to tell them they have to put that.
Here's the problem, Peter. Sorry, I interrupt you again. Front desk, they give us, that's the form. Zainab, Zainab, as I'm talking about, yeah, it is true. That's the form. There's a bunch of them. It's like a kind of survey and also asking about describing about the pain and level and stuff. But they give us from the front desk a pen and all those papers, and then the person also, like, he says, I don't know, even I cannot read, I cannot understand, do it for me. If I don't do it, I'm there. If I'm reading, and then at the same time circle it, or like,
So
even if
but
I don't do it,
keep in mind that those forms are not like legal documents. So if there is a question that you're gonna skip or the patient's gonna skip, well, they're not gonna like put you in the jail for that. Maybe they just don't want to answer the question, so you guys can skip that question. That's fine.
I mean all of them together.
Yeah, but like, no, either they're gonna answer or not. If they're not answering, you can tell the physio or the reception, well, the client doesn't want to cooperate. There you go, right? And you are not legally obligated to fill up any forms for them.
Okay,
right?
from now on, I understand, but before, that's what they give us.
Because yes, by the rule, like I said, you can help them to read those questions. So we can read the questions loud in English. If they don't understand the question, explaining what the question is asking for in your language.
They don't want to do it anything since I read to them, but they say I don't understand. Do it for me, otherwise it stayed forever there. That's the issue.
Well, yeah, that's not your role either, because you have some time limitation as well. So now the reason why I'm talking about this and why is it so tricky, because eventually their treatment can be changed if they provide wrong information.
Exactly.
The insurance claim, so WCB claim, might be stopped because now they're gonna say, I don't want to answer this, I don't feel any pain, just write it. No. So you're gonna say he doesn't feel any pain.
That
A miracle. He solely is healthy. He doesn't feel any pain. Case manager gonna read that next week. Boom. His benefits are over. His case is closed.
yeah,
And
even says
and
like
now
for
who they gonna
example,
blame, right? Who they gonna blame
even
for that?
even for example says like 0 means not no problem or this not disability. 10
Yeah.
means like fully disability, like it can't do anything. If we choose like 7 or 8, and then says or 9, and then says, oh, this part you say you have not that much problem, why you put that? If we put like a 5 or something, oh, you are better. So like
So
kind of this issue, you're right. So if we don't do it, also the problem there. If we also start helping and it says, oh, here the pen, do it for me, otherwise it stick there forever.
So the rule number 1, if you follow the code of ethics regarding that, is so basically you are not allowed to take any responsibility for the task that belong to them or to the doctors or physiotherapists. You are not over there for that.
So
So
they
if
have to
you
ask
feel,
and then check it, right? They have to ask the patient. They have to do it, right?
well, I don't know the procedures over there, so I don't know what they have to do it or not. But I'm just saying what you should do or not. Whatever they doing over there, yeah, that's not my concern. I do not know the policies of like every physiotherapy clinic, right?
Yeah, from
But
now on.
if you have questions or you are not sure, it's always better to call the physiotherapist, call the nurse, call the doctor, and you can tell them that this form involve any type of consent or liability, right? Like the treatment consent, maybe there's some risk of the medication, maybe there's a legal responsibility. And in that case, basically, you are not obligated to do that. You are not legally obligated to do those forms for the person. If those guys do not know and now they start threatening people that, you know, they're gonna close or shut down the contract, well, it's only showing how educated they are about that. So that's another problem, right?
Thank
Now,
you.
if the
Thank you for letting me
patient, if they gonna drop those bombs on you all the time and the patient clearly doesn't understand what's going on and they have to still fill out the forms, and you, the doctors, the physios, and you're gonna start forcing them to do something, well, yeah, that's where they're gonna start be confused, they're gonna start hesitate, they're gonna panic, they're gonna get angry, right? So it's just gonna take a lot of different steps that are not, you know, we don't need them. So
Yeah, mostly confusion for me there. Like since I'm there to interpreter, why they don't ask in front of me the person how they feel, how what is the level, and then they do it the rest. And instead of asking, I'm guessing someone is like issue. I don't know. Even that person doesn't clear. Like even the patient doesn't give me clear information, but I had to do it in the middle stack. So it kind of so weird, but at the same time I'm there, I like it's hard to leave the person. I don't care. I cannot say I don't care about it, but also at the same time, like I'm stuck in there, I mess it up. Either did I good, did I did bad things, like at the same time also worried because if I put the lower, like I said, it says, oh, this person says is um more pain, and then you describe like you put just 5, like half. Or if I said 10, it says that means can't do anything, and this person is like totally can't move from the bed.
yeah.
So it's um like I say, thank you so much. I can call I before I do anything anymore. For this matter.
I will double check from the legal perspective, how does it look with those simple Q&A
It's not
forms?
legal. I before now I'm not attend yet about the legal. Just
No, I have to check out from the
Oh.
legal side. How
Okay,
does
thank
it
you.
work for those Q&A forms? Because those Q&A forms are probably the simple ones, like nothing wrong with them. There is no legal obligation in them. But I still need to know if interpreters should be involved in that. So that's gonna be my homework for the weekend. And I will tell you guys on Monday.
Please, please, because I have to make
Okay.
sure, like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, I don't also want to like, I don't want to put people in a panic and now they're gonna like reject every single form.
Exactly.
So let me figure out, and I'm gonna make a simple kind of like a cheat sheet, which forms are okay to help, which forms are not okay to help.
Thank you.
And that should probably, I will also consult that with WCB, the main supervisors. And then we're gonna go from there, and probably there will be no more confusion about that. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, that's it for today. We're done. Oh no, there is Ruby. Ruby, go ahead. The last question today. Hello, Ruby. Maybe she's not there anymore.
Okay, Peter. Good Friday.
Good Friday. Thank you.
Okay. See
Right,
you on
yeah.
Monday.
Looks like she's not there. Okay, guys, you have a good weekend.
You
Go
too.
get
Thank
stuck
you.
in the snow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you.
Sure. Whoever wanna join on Monday, I'm coming to the office on Monday. And yeah, if you guys wanna join, go ahead. If you're busy, you don't have to.
For the session or for?
Yeah. No, for the session.
Bye.
For the session.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Bye.